everyone. This is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to episode 37. Today we are doing the first of many live PCS special episodes, and we're talking all about the new season of The Walking Dead. Expect some spoilers, you've been warned. Today we're settling in to talk about the very first episode of the new season, and we have lots to talk about. Since we are live, feel free to leave us a comment, and we'll try our best to reply to both comments and questions. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and share it. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review. Thanks for spreading that PCS love. Want to comment on something you hear during today's episode? You can find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Joining me is PCS co-host, fellow TV junkie, and indie author, Lisa Orbit. Hey Lisa, what's going on?
Oh my god, I'm just trying to get over my reaction to The Walking Dead. I'm still not recovered.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm feeling it. I want to just say, eeny, meeny, miny, mo to you before we start.
Oh, that's not even nice. It's not even nice.
I know, I couldn't help it.
I was sitting there last night and I was watching. I had my blankie and I had my chocolate and I had my boyfriend and he was patting me on the head telling me it was going to be okay. I'm like, it's not okay. This is not okay.
Oh, Lisa.
So, I mean, Abraham was bad enough, but oh my god, Glenn.
I know.
Oh, I wanted to cry.
Did you actually cry?
I didn't actually cry. I think I was in too much shock. You know?
Yeah.
And I guess if it had been Glenn to begin with, I would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not okay, but, you know, I've been kind of expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it was Abraham first, I'm like, all right, I was right. I made a prediction. It was going to be Abraham. So there was a little part of me that was joyful because, you know.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I'm like, I guessed Abraham. Yes. I think a lot of us guessed him, actually. I think he was the easy out. Yeah.
But then, you know, when it was Glenn, and it wasn't even just, it was terrible because it wasn't a clean shot. And his face was all distorted, and he was trying to speak to Maggie, and he's like, I'll wait for you. And I was like,
Yeah.
You know?
It was sad. And I kind of like, because, you know, I've said before, I think Glenn has had like 9 lives, maybe even 20 lives. He should have been gone. So while I didn't expect the second kill, it totally didn't surprise me at all that it was him.
Well, and it does help the TV show once again realign with the comics, because Abraham and Glenn are both dead in the comics, and, you know, there's other characters that are coming in. And I did hear while watching The Talking Dead that next week's episode is not going to be nearly as traumatic and should be actually funny at times. So for all of you Walking Dead fans, you know, you can take a breath and know that nothing horribly bad is going to happen next week. They're going to give us a break.
Oh, thank goodness. Because that was an emotional roller coaster. Like, it was suspenseful like I'd never seen, like, on that show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, just the one part that I felt was most suspenseful was waiting for Rick to cut off Carl's arm.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, oh, my God, is he going to do it?
You know, honestly, what I thought was going to happen, because as I understand it, because I haven't read the comics, but I have friends that have, that Rick does actually lose his hand in the comics. Mm-hmm. And so through the entire episode, when he brings out that hatchet, I'm like, when he first, you know, slams it on the table, I'm like, yeah, Rick's going to lose his hand. And then when he did something, I'm like, oh, he's going to lose his hand. And then when he doused it with alcohol, I'm like, oh, he's going to lose his hand.
Oh,
you know?
Gosh.
So then when he's holding his son's hand, and I'm thinking, he's going to cut off his own hand. Oh, my God, they're going to make him cut off his own hand.
Yeah. You know, they kept trying to, like, I guess, make us think that was what was going to happen. All those little things here and there. But, ooh, that was a nice twist. I'm like, oh, no. And I'm thinking, poor Carl can't catch a dang on break. First he gets it in the gut. Then he gets his eye. And then it's like his arm.
I know. This poor kid, he's going to, like, end up in the apocalypse in bits and pieces, man.
I know? It's dreadful. I'm like, oh, I feel so bad for him. But,
you know, I did have to kind of give a little giggle, though, when he referred to Carl as, you know, a future psychopath. You know, you and your, future psychopaths on here. You know, and I'm like, you know.
Well, you gotta wonder what will happen to him. I mean, this is really traumatic. I mean, he's been through a lot of traumatic things. And we saw before, when he had to kill his mother, he kind of flipped a little bit. Yeah. I feel like this is going to do something else to him as well, in a bad way.
I think, I don't think Carl has any more tears. I don't. I mean, even when he thought he was losing his arm, and when Glenn died, and when Abraham died, if you look, whenever they panned over to him, there were no tears.
Right.
I mean, there was fear in his eye, right. But there were no tears. I don't think he has it left in him. Not right now. Right. And I think he is he is turning into what this world needs him to be to survive.
Yeah. I mean, because you could tell he was fearful, but even when, the axe was there, he was like, just do it. Just do it. It's like, come on, let's just get this over with. He wasn't crying. Rick was like, oh, please, let me cut my own hand off. And he's just like, just do it already.
Right. Well, and I've noticed, and this was my thought too, and I commented on it while watching it. I'm like, you know what? I don't think Negan needs to worry about Rick in the long run.
Yeah.
It's going to be, oh my God, Carl. There we go. Yeah. Blank. Anyway, it's going to be Carl, because in the end, Carl is much more of what this world requires than any adult will ever be. Because they're still playing catch up, and they, they're still trying to shed the old norms and the old morals, like as Negan was saying, you're not going to sit down and have Sunday dinner anymore.
Right.
And, while Carl was, he had been born while this had happened. He was young when this show started. It's 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And in the show, he's like 14, 15 years old. So he was like 7. I mean, he was young. And so while he has some recollections of his childhood prior to the apocalypse, he doesn't have those culturally ingrained norms. So I think Negan, it's this next generation of children, we're going to have to be, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
But
don't discredit the adults, though, because, Maggie, she is like, we've got to fight, and Rick's like, why? What the? And she's like, oh my goodness. So she is definitely one to watch. She's not finished.
Right. Oh no, she is. I mean, because not only did she lose Glenn, but she has this baby, and I don't think she's going to lose it. At least she didn't in the comics, and she goes on to be in charge of Hill Tower, in the comics, and so she may here in the movie too, or in the TV show. I think they're kind of starting to kind of realign the comics with the series once again. But yeah, she is someone. I mean, she's lost everything. Well, everyone's lost everything. Everyone obviously has. But I mean, it's she didn't lose it all at once. It's just she's had she had her home stripped away, and then her father stripped away, and then her sister stripped away, and now Glenn. And I mean, so it's been this gradual peeling as opposed to a lot of people who lost everything all at once.
Well, that's how they do on this show. Like, for example, I think that's partly why Abraham got it. As soon as he started feeling comfortable in his skin, he was happy with where things were. He was liking his little, his relationship, possibly.
Talking about maybe having a baby.
Yeah, he was feeling happy, and all of a sudden, wham! No, I don't think so.
Exactly. And I don't know. I mean, it's King Ezekiel's coming into the next episode, and he's got a tiger. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I know. I wonder if it's going to look real or if it's going to look CG, I don't
know. I mean, now I've seen some brief commercials about it, and it looked pretty cool. So I don't know. I just don't know how. I mean, this whole season, I mean, it's all going to be about change and new characters and new things, and I don't know. It is going to be something, but it's going to be scary. I think there's going to be a lot of sitting on the edge of your seats going, oh my God!
I know, it's going to be good. I have a feeling this season is going to be probably one of the best seasons. I feel it. Like, I feel it in my bones. And I think AMC feels it because, I don't know if you knew this, but they've already greenlit season 8. They did that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's, I mean, that's also some comfort there too, because now we know for sure that this isn't like the last big blowout before the end,
Right.
you know, which not real, I really wasn't afraid of that, because they did have, there's just so much hype. I don't think they'd cancel the show anytime in the near future, but it is reassuring.
Yeah, indeed. So let's talk about Negan real fast. Oh my God, I seriously love the actor they picked for him. Only him only can he be charismatic while playing the devil.
I know. I don't want to do this. I take no joy. I'm screaming at the TV, liar, liar.
I know. I mean, seriously, I was talking about this at work this morning. He broke Rick. I mean, he tore him down really fast. And I'm like, what kind of person do you have to be he psychologically just screwed him. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. Like, he knew exactly what buttons to push, how far to go, what to do. Wow, it's astonishing.
I'm kind of wondering, because we don't have any background on Negan. And I really am wondering if maybe he's going to turn out to be like maybe a drill sergeant for like Marines or something. Because the way he's acting and the way he's talking, there is a precision to his terror.
Right.
It's not random. It is calculated. It is precise. It is controlled for all the insanity.
Yes.
And there's planning and the way he acts and stuff. I'm really beginning to wonder if we're going to find out he's like, had been a drill sergeant or high ranking in the military or something along that lines, because there is a precision to his terrorism.
Yeah, the only thing I know about him that I heard from other comic book readers is that Lucille is named after his wife who died of cancer, I think.
Okay.
So obviously, I bet you when and if we see his backstory, it may make us more sympathetic, but he's still horrible. He's a horrible person.
Yeah. Well, and I've also heard, and this is a valid argument that I have heard, we have been watching Rick's group from the beginning.
Right.
We're close to them. We know them. We like them. Yeah. We're enthralled with them. We have sympathy for them. But they have done some god-awful things. They've done some terrible things.
Yeah.
I mean, they have done morally questionable things even in the apocalypse.
Right.
And, I mean, and they have, preemptively, quote-unquote, struck, someone that may or may not have been a threat to them.
True.
They have, Rick has, at times, when people have tried to come in and join the group, has just gone, no. And, I mean, and kicked him out to die.
But you know what, though? I think all of those groups do that, because while you want to have humanity and help your fellow man and bring someone in if they're suffering, he could be a plant to come in and just take everything you have. It's like you can't just trust people.
But I think if we had been following Negan's group and watched them,
we'd see something similar.
Yeah, I think we would have that same empathy that we have for Rick's group, because they are essentially doing not exactly the same thing, but they are attempting to survive, and they have learned that domination, if you control the resources, if you control the people, then you are safer. Right. There's safety in numbers, and and fear. It can't be a wonderful motivator.
Right.
So,
he's gone beyond just looking out for his group like Rick. He's going out and taking over. He's trying to run everybody. So, from Rick's point of view, he's not doing that. He's just trying to keep his people safe.
Exactly. And Negan's probably looking at it the same way. I am keeping my people safe. The more area I control, the more people I control, the bigger my reach. That's more area which is safe. And he probably even looks at it as he is bringing a certain amount of order to the region, at least for his group. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't like him. I want horrible bad things to happen to him.
Yeah.
But I can also see the flip side of it is, if we had been watching Negan's group from the beginning, how would, we probably wouldn't like Rick's group.
That's true.
Because, let's face it, Rick wiped out a lot of them. Efficiently,
Yeah,
so yeah, I think if looked at from the other side, him and Rick both have done some morally questionable things.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
The one that comes to my mind is when, he was justified in it, but when him and Carl, and I think Sasha may have been with him, but I can't remember, were basically kidnapped by that group of guys, and he basically bit the neck off of that one guy to get away from him.
Yeah.
You know, and, that was a nom-nom moment right there.
Right.
And, so, we know the depths that Rick will go to when feeling threatened. And there really is no line for him. And I don't think that there is a line for Negan. So in that, they are equal.
Yeah.
So I think...
And, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I'd rather be where they are and alive than ultra sympathetic and dead, because I was too, I don't know, maybe that's my ice cold water running through my veins.
Like my daughter asked me, Mom, if I became a zombie, would you kill me? Oh, hell yeah, honey, I would.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Real fast.
She's like, Mom, I'm like, I'm sorry, babe, I love you, but...
Look, you could either be killed or I can walk you around like Michonne did in the beginning with no arms. Which do you want?
And no jaw. Don't forget, we have to get rid of the jaw.
Right, no jaw.
And, so it was terrible. But, I did have to, there was that, thinking back to the very first time that we met Glenn. And God, he was so sweet and so innocent. And, they asked him what he was, and he's like, I was a pizza delivery guy, And, so, I mean, when Abraham died, Abraham had been a soldier, and he was trained for, not this situation, but, emergency situations and stuff. But, here's Glenn, and Glenn has, he's really just shown, and, he was a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really grown over the last 6 seasons, and he's a completely different person almost, just like all of them are, really, when you look at them from episode 1 to now.
And they all look so young, and so innocent. Carol, I think, I don't know, Carol, I think, in my opinion, has probably changed the most. So, and, they didn't show her at all this time, but I've seen some commercials with her in it, and I'm giggling because they were hysterical. I have absolutely no idea what's going on, and I'm just so happy.
Do you think Carol is going to be the first one to go out and try to get Daryl back? You think she's going to try to get him, or you think she's off on her other vision quest, quote unquote, Maybe.
She's, I don't know. I'm going to go with, she is currently on a lot of drugs. And I do know that, there's going to be some kind of a collusion between, like, Hill Tower and King Ezekiel and Alexandria.
Yeah. And
so what that is going to entail, I have absolutely no idea. Although watching the previews and stuff for King Ezekiel's, land, I'm thinking to myself, this is what Alexandria should have been doing all along, because they had, like, cows and chickens and pigs and all these, and the farm and everything else. I'm like, this is what they should have been doing from the beginning. Not now when the food's running out, but they should have been doing this all along.
Oh, I know, right?
So they're a little more on it, and they seem benign, for, the apocalypse survivors. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this whole thing unfolds, and I think Maggie's gonna. I don't know. Something is gonna happen with her. She's got that edge to her now, and I don't think she's gonna do anything insane, but I don't think there's going to be anything that will stand in her way between her and revenge at this point.
Right. So what do you think about what's in store for the others? Like, Sasha, we know she's going off to help Maggie, and Eugene, Aaron, and, who else was there? Sasha, Rick. Yeah, what do you think's in store for them?
I think Eugene is going to go back to the Bell Foundry where he was at, and it is fairly hidden, and I think he is going to start stockpiling ammunition for the group. And I think he's basically going to live there so that there's not this trail going back and forth. And that would be the smart thing to do. I think Maggie is going to end up in Hill Tower, and as soon as she shows up there, because, you know, she was already seen as a leader there anyway.
Right.
I think she is just, through force of personality, is just going to say, you're mine. You are now mine to control, and this is what we are going to do. And she is going to whip them into shape, so to speak.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think Daryl, oh God, he was like feral when they threw him into the back of that van at the end of the episode.
You know what? I fear that he's going to be used and abused. He's going to be abused for like the first 6 episodes. Like something is going to happen. You know,
well, and Rick even said, Maggie, they've got Daryl. And she's like, oh, I don't care. You know?
Yeah.
I don't care. And, which is, and I think she does care. I mean, she does care about Daryl, don't get me wrong. But I don't think she's going to let anything stand in her way of revenge. Not even him. And while apparently there was a survey done that only and 76% of people said that they did not blame Daryl for Glenn's death, there is a significant possibility that Maggie may.
Well, you know, Maggie blamed herself in the beginning. She said, this is happening because you guys were out here because of me.
Right. Yeah.
So. And
then, you know, because Daryl stood up and punched Negan, and then Negan's like, oh, well, I see you guys need another lesson. You know, if Daryl had not jumped up, if they had just eaten humble pies, all of them together, I don't think that a lot of the things would have happened. Glenn would not have been dead.
Right.
You know, they would not have taken Daryl because he wouldn't have paid any attention to him because he was injured. I don't think that, you know, there would have been that display with Carl even. So I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think that there's been a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of it is really coming down to Negan is trying to break the soul of this group any way he can.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think he might have also figured out, because I think he picked Abraham because he thought that he was Rick's right-hand man, because he made a big deal of the whole right-hand man kind of thing. And considering how big Abraham is and how he talked to him and stood up to him and defied him up until the end, he assumed, oh no, this is his second-hand man. But with Daryl's reaction, and especially considering he was injured, I think he may have reassessed some things.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I don't know. I think Daryl is, it's going to be bad, because you know he's going to blame himself for Glenn's death, and he's injured, and he was like a wild thing. He kind of reminded me of how he looked at the very beginning of the first season when he was going nuts when he thought his brother was dead.
Yeah.
You know? And as much as he has evolved as a character and has matured and grown, I think he is going to revert back, because I think in a lot of ways he probably is going to blame himself, because the first interaction with this group came about because of him. Right. And the bike and his, that whole thing, you know, and it's since that moment of, you know, of contact, because of him, this whole thing has spiraled. And so he may end up blaming himself, and I don't think he's going to turn it inwards towards himself. I'm thinking he's going to turn it outwards to how can I destroy this man, and redeem himself. But I don't know. It's going to be something.
Well, if nothing else, he's definitely going to blame himself for Glenn's death. If nothing else.
Oh yeah, you know that's going to happen.
Yeah, because he was the one that jumped up and. Yeah. Ugh.
So it's going to be nuts. I mean, just it got to me, and there's so much going on in all those little, you know, and that scene where they had the table and they were all sitting there and eating dinner, and at the very end was Glenn with the baby and Abraham next to him, and
it was the what could have been had you not run into them. What could have been.
Well, and because they'll never get that world back, but Alexandria, that was the promise of Alexandria, that they could have that moment.
Right.
And Negan basically said, you're not getting it. Not now, not ever. Just get it out of your head. There is no normal anymore.
Yeah, like that's over.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh.
I did have another kind of odd thought, but I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed or not, have you noticed the zombies are getting skinnier?
No, I have not noticed that.
I have noticed that they're getting a bit skinnier and a little more fragile, and you're seeing more broken ones.
Well, I guess that would happen over time, right? As they're decomposing and...
Yeah. And obviously, everyone on Earth now knows that, as soon as you die, you're going to turn, so you're not going to get you should not get too many more surprise zombies.
Right.
Because people know to either kill themselves or make sure someone is there to do it for them.
Yeah.
And the zombies are starting to wind down like broken toys. At least that's what I'm kind of starting to see, that they're not moving as fast, they're not quite as threatening. And I'm going to say that, probably within a 10-year, maybe not within the lifespan of the story, but within like a 10 or 15-year arc, that the zombies may be all but disintegrated, and a new world order, so to speak, will emerge.
You know what? Is the comic book still running right now? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is. So I heard somewhere that they have enough material for probably 10 seasons if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would go. And it's true, as time goes on, there's fewer and fewer zombies because people are killing them.
And they're breaking down like broken toys.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't heal, so any injury they sustain just continues. And of course, certain injuries, even if they can walk or whatever, will get worse, and there's wear and tear.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that with Rick when he was hanging from that one. Oh man, I'm like, the neck. Oh my gosh, the neck.
Yeah. So I mean, they're just not as robust.
Yeah, exactly.
As they had been. So it's kind of interesting. I think at some point, in who knows? I mean, it's comics. Superman's been around for 50 years, so who knows? He stayed the same age, and everyone else has too.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they want to progress with time, I mean, it is conceivably possible that sometime in the near, not in the near future, but sometime in their future, there will be a time without zombies. I mean, there will still be. They could still turn into zombies. There still could be issues, and obviously, everything the way it is right now is just completely messed up. But
I wonder if the babies have it, like people being born. I wonder if it's passing down to them.
As I understand it, it's airborne, and I think that's what the doctor said when they were at that CDC facility, and that's why he wanted to kill everybody, because he's like, there's no hope. It's everywhere. It's in everything we eat and everything, in every breath we take. So, now I have personally had nightmares for every woman who is pregnant going, oh God, I hope you don't miscarry.
Oh my gosh, a little zombie baby. Oh, that's dreadful.
No. Okay, I mean, think about that for a minute, or a stillbirth.
Oh gosh, that's enough to make you cringe.
I know.
Oh man. Oh, that's awful. I didn't even think of that.
I know. And these are my thoughts. There, I went there. So, I would, and I don't think and I'm not sure it's even really been a thought.
Yeah. That
they've had too much, but I'm wondering if they had given any thought to that, people would be going, oh, I don't want to get pregnant.
Well, that people are purposely getting pregnant, like Maggie and stuff.
Yeah.
Or, planning for getting pregnant.
Oh, I know, but that would be a fear I would have.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
or, I mean, you die in childbirth like Carl's mother, and you gotta be taken out. Ugh.
And it's happening quicker too. There used to be like, at least a delay between death and zombie, and now it's almost instantaneous. So yeah.
Yeah, there's like, as soon as they're out, like 30 seconds later, here they are again, back again.
Mm-hmm. So,
did you catch at the end, like as they were all walking off, leaving them on the ground, the one guy looked like he took a Polaroid photo.
Yes, I saw that.
I'm like, oh,
yes.
wow, that's crazy.
I did see that and pointed out. I'm like, Corey, oh my God, did you see that? The guy just took a Polaroid.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's. I was wondering. I wonder if that's for a personal collection or if they use that for like intimidation or. I don't know.
Like, look at everything that Negan did right here. Yes. Look at what we'll do to you. Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, or he could just be weird. And I don't know. There's a lot of weird people out there. And, you know.
And what's up with that guy randomly having a pen, like a marker pen, in his pocket? He's like, hey, you got a pen? He's like, sure.
Well, now, as I understand it, that was Negan's right-hand man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just wanders around with a random assortment of stuff that Negan might ask for.
I guess that makes sense.
And I can't imagine that would be the very first time that he would have tried this tactic with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, yeah, it must be his thing. So he's always got a marker there to draw on someone's arm after he kills a couple people.
Yeah. It was. I'm not going to sleep well for nights.
No.
I'm going to be very upset about this for a couple more days, I think.
Well, I'm curious to see what's going to happen when they go back to, their camp, their little town, and they have to tell everyone what happened.
Yeah.
That's going to be crazy.
Oh, that's going to be. And I mean, Rick is a proud man. He is. I mean, there's no getting around that. And for him to have to go back there and not only endure the humiliation that he did, but to have to then go back to Alexandria in absolute and utter defeat and tell them what has happened.
Oh,
and
yeah, I know.
Because it was his idea to begin with to attack Negan's group at that, was it a radio station or something? Something like that? Wherever they were at. It was his idea. It's like, oh, no, it's just a couple of people. We can take him out. No big deal. And it will make Alexandria safer.
Yeah.
And no, it didn't.
No, not at all.
I don't think he's ever been quite as wrong as he was with that statement.
Oh, my gosh. I know he is going to be in the biggest stupor. I don't know how many episodes it's going to take to pull him out of that. He is going to be like, I don't know, like one of those dogs that someone beats down and they're scared to even do anything. Mm-hmm. That's going to be him for who knows how many episodes. Hopefully not too long, because I'll probably be sick to death of watching that.
Like I said, I think it's going to be Carl that we should start really watching. Because again, I mean, he was upset. I mean, he still feels things. He's not, a sociopath. I mean, he does feel for everyone. He has empathy, and he loves his group. But he will, out of necessity, do what needs to be done. And he is well more on it than Rick has been in a long time.
Yeah.
And so him and, Maggie both are, I think they're of the same mindset. We may not be able to do anything right this second, but that doesn't mean we can't. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm remembering how Rick was. I think it was at the prison where he was all like, we're going to be nonviolent. We're not going to do this. We're going to grow. I don't want to see that again, but
no,
we might.
And, I mean, you can't live forever in conflict and thrive, because people have to have time to plant crops and make babies, and do those things. If everything is constantly in flux and warfare and fighting, that's the last generation. There will be no more, and it does in a certain way kind of surprise me, because you would think that, considering the zombies are after everyone, that there would be a bit more banding together. But obviously, we as humans just still don't quite get that.
Right.
One would hope that that as long as you are being an alive human being and not a zombie and seeing another alive human being, there would be that connection there to band together. But at some point in time, there is going to have to be that, or this is the last generation.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Well, this group, I tell you, they have a long road ahead. And it's going to be very interesting as we see Negan come back for his spoils the time and time again.
Weekly.
Will he or will he not have a piece of Daryl with him is the question.
Well, now, he shouldn't, as long as there is a weekly tribute. Of course, I don't know how much that tribute's supposed to be or how he's calculating it, or, he may not be pleased if he doesn't feel it's enough. I don't know.
Right. And he didn't really say, well, this is how much I'm going to demand of you. He didn't really say any of that. So I guess it's kind of like, I don't know. That's going to be interesting.
It's going to be one truckload because he left them a truck.
That's true. So they're going to be going around scavenging things from other people to give it to Negan.
I guess that's the plan, yeah.
How awful.
I know. And so, I mean, he's impoverishing as many people as, and I think there's a secondary reason for that, because if they're stealing from other groups for him, then that's weakening those groups. Yeah. So when he does decide to move forward, they are easier prey because they are not at full capacity.
Right. Well, this episode was a doozy.
It was. I hurt.
Yeah, I did not cry. I did feel their pain though, but I was more shocked than anything. So it was it was emotionally draining, I guess, just because it was so suspenseful and it was just a lot going on at once. So I'm glad we get kind of a reprieve next week.
Right, and I am very happy about that. I mean, because they really could have just kept pushing this, but I think they wisely chose for their viewers' sake, because I don't know that I could do another episode like this next week.
Yeah, and I knew it was going to be really tough when it first came on, they gave the little mature audiences, extreme violence, and then again, right before those scenes, like there was another one. I'm like, uh-oh, it's going to be bad. And I think that this, for all the blood and gore that they always have on The Walking Dead, I think this was the most explicitly violent. Yeah.
It was very personal because it was it wasn't a gun, it wasn't a knife, it wasn't clean. I mean, it was messy, and it was bloody, and it was dirty, and it took time.
Yeah, and that really, I really wonder, what kind of person do you have to be to beat someone with a bat like that? It's like, wow, just shoot them and be done with it. Why do you have to, what is going on?
I'm going to go with sociopath. They don't have any empathy, they can do, and I mean, and what is it, I think 1 in 10 in our country is a sociopath, and the odds are probably, or the statistics are probably a lot higher now during the zombie apocalypse, because they don't care about anybody else as long as they can keep themselves alive. So it's kind of a self-preservation thing at that point.
Right. And all social norms are out the window. So who cares?
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I would probably say at this point that it's the number of sociopaths has probably dropped from 1 in 10 to probably like 1 in 7, 1 in 6.
Ooh, my gosh.
Well, that self-preservation thing, they don't have the empathy that has slowed down the learning curve for a lot of people. I can't hurt somebody, I can't do this, I can't leave this person behind. The sociopath's like, whatever. So,
well, you know what? I know that if the zombie apocalypse should ever really happen, I know I would never be a sociopath, but I am for sure I would be killing people because I want to live.
I tease people. I'm like, I have my own zombie apocalypse army here in my house. So I have so many people that live here, and a lot of them are scary and intimidating looking guys. So I'm like, I'm safe. I have already started my group.
Oh, that's hilarious. You're like, I got some big bad guys right here.
Oh yeah, I've got a house full of big bad guys. So I'm set. I am ready for the zombie apocalypse.
Yes, I know what you're saying. Like, I know some people with guns. I know some people in the country with horses and all other kind of things. I'll be making my way north.
Yeah, it's like, but I have power tools, man. I have more power tools than you can shake a stick at. I also have a baseball bat, and I have barbed wire, so.
You'll be Lucilleing people.
Yeah.
Or zombies.
Exactly. I kind of wondered, and has been an ongoing thought, why hasn't anyone made a mace? I mean, an honest to God with a big bulb and with all the divots out of it, that would be a perfect zombie apocalypse weapon. It's heavy enough that once you get it swinging, the weight of it will crash in their heads, and it's got all the protrusions and the spikes on it, so it doesn't matter which side, you hit them with, because it's going to hit an edge.
Yeah.
It is like the perfect, and it's not that long. They're only like 2-3 feet long. So, I mean, it's like the perfect zombie apocalypse weapon.
Oh.
Way better even than Lucille.
Make
More
one
effective.
of those. Make me one.
I'll do my best.
Thank you. I need weapons too.
So overall, were you happy?
I was.
Well,
I was
happy,
very happy. I feel like the weight and all this, the build up, all the hype was worth it. It delivered for me.
Yeah. It definitely delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sadness, but I was expecting Abraham or Glenn. Both of them died. So, I kind of got what I thought. And I'm grateful that Maggie didn't die. I was afraid that they were going to kill her off. And so I was very happy that they didn't do that.
Me too, because that might have been the tipping point for the tears. I'm like, oh, pregnant lady. Oh.
Yeah, and they never told him that she was pregnant, but it's probably a good thing because Negan, as he is, probably would have used her instead.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, wow.
Just to make a point.
Oh.
So.
Wow.
Although
he's awful. He's dreadful.
I think at that point, if he had actually tried to do anything to Maggie, I don't think anybody would have stopped because there is that need to protect new life.
Right.
And I think the outcome would have been different. I mean, they couldn't have won, obviously, but yeah, I think the outcome would have been different.
Oh, they would all be
Very
dead,
different.
and we'd be watching a new cast.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So.
All right.
So, yeah.
Do you think we're done on this topic on episode 1?
I think we have covered pretty much everything and maybe a little besides.
Yeah, indeed. Hey, before we sign off, be sure to share where everyone can find you.
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Lisa Orban Author, and you can find me on YouTube at the Talking Book with Lisa Orban. And I'm pretty much everywhere. You put my name in, and you're gonna find me somewhere.
Okay, awesome. So you guys, you need to subscribe so you will know next time we are live. We will be here again next Monday, right?
Yes.
Talking about episode 2.
I
know. So if you love The Walking Dead like we do, you'll want to stick around. So that is all for today, and we will see you next week. But before you go, please hit that follow button on Spreaker, the only place where you can listen live, or subscribe and listen later on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and the Spreaker app. Thanks for listening. Until next time, happy viewing. Bye, guys.
Bye.